Hello guys. Hi, it's Silvia here with Fernando.
How Silvia?
How are you, dear Fernando?
Fine, fine. And you?
I'm very good, thank you. I find you again with pleasure to talk about the third pair of major arcana.
Which would be the second, but it's the third, yes.
Yeah, because we start from the number 0. So
yes,
this pair is the Empress and the Emperor.
the rulers of the kingdom.
Exactly. If we want, some readers, they read into this as the husband and wife.
Yes.
Right, you know, like, because they're very nurturing and they look after.
Yes, or the father and the mother.
Or the father and the mother, yes, exactly.
But in essence, it's just another version of the same male-female principle that we're going to be discussing all throughout this series that we're making.
Yeah, I like to see it as a journey of the conscious that goes from the start of something. And what happens, it goes step by step, and it seems as it follows always the same steps. So there is the first number 1 is a beginning, okay? So it's the birth of something. And then there is the number 2. When you have something new, then this something new needs something else from the outside or the inside to have a chance to make it further.
Definitely.
This is where these two cards come about. And then I leave it to you. I just tell our friends that they do relate these two cards to the planet, the moon. And they both rule two minor arcana each, which is for the female card. So the Empress is the 2 red cards, so the 2 of diamonds and 2 of hearts. Where for the Emperor, there it rules the 2 of clubs and 2 of spades, right?
Correct. And as you said, you know, this is the third pairing, but it's really the second one. If we start counting from 1, it's the Emperor and the Empress, the father and the mother, the king and the queen. And it relates to the planet moon because the moon is the second planet, so it will apply to the second set of cards. And the moon, I call the moon the reflection of the tabernacle. The tabernacle was like the place where God was. It was like a church, but it really was a structure which was filled with God's, you know, presence through the Jewish lore. But in essence, you know, the moon depends on the sun to be what it is. Just like sometimes, you know, the female principle needs of the male principle to do things. And at the same time, you know, the male principle needs something from the female principle to, you know, do whatever it has to do. So it's a symbiotic relationship. And that's what we see in the moon. We see a symbiotic relationship of female and male, but mainly female. We see a relationship between, you know, a rock that is just, you know, a rock, but it becomes beautiful through the light of the sun. And the moon relates to our emotions, it relates to our moods, to our sentiments, but it represents mainly our individualized consciousness in the world. It represents our manas, our soul mind to a certain degree. And when we have that individualized consciousness and we are in the world, we just had the beginning, the birth, the potential in number 1. In number 2, we are like children and we want to get what we need to grow up. We need to get what we desire to really, you know, comprehend the reality that it is. Not from a, yes.
The word, I was saying, the word need is crucial here.
Yes, yes.
It's not just for pleasure or for being fussy. It's that if I want to survive, I need water to hydrate my body. That's a need. It's a number 2 situation.
Yes, and it relates a little bit to Venus to a certain degree, but it's more of an all-encompassing, you know, intangible, emotional, sentimental need. More than, you know, Venus, that's a little bit of that, but it's more material, it's more relaxation, it's more pleasurable that we're going to see later on the 6th.
It's more about fulfillment of
Yes.
some desire.
Yes.
Here, the desire is very much connected to the need. So
Exactly.
that has a
Because
different shade.
because in number two, you know, if we were going to think of the number two, the keywords is coming together,
Yes.
achievements, and management. We're coming together with that we need to achieve something. We are coming together with that we need to manage something. And
Right.
that's what we're going to see in the major arcana of the Emperor and the Empress, which are, as we said, the father and the mother. They achieve a family and they manage children, they manage a household. The Emperor and the Empress achieve an empire and they manage the different kingdoms, the different kings. Because remember, they're emperors, they're not kings. They're kings of kings, right? The Maharaja to a
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
degree.
yeah.
And they come together uh, to to uh, to work and to satisfy that emotional, intangible, conscious need that they have.
Yeah, and absolutely, I do agree completely with what you said, and
Thank you, thank you.
I'm very kind.
By the way, you look great today.
Are you so kind always? Thanks.
I'm a gentleman, yes, yes.
Yes, you look nice too.
I always look good, so thank you.
Yeah, you know, we have this thing going on that I will never be as good looking as you.
Yeah, yeah, you know,
That
it's okay.
I'm,
Don't worry.
I've
It's okay.
surrendered already.
Yeah, yes. You're welcome.
I was going to say that with the Empress, with the focus is on the inside. As for any feminine, card, where for the Empress, we get things that happen on the outside in the world.
Exactly.
It's very.
Yes.
And one other thing that, since it's related to the moon planet, we can go back to the video that we made about the sutra for the moon and the sun. And we know, and you guys, if you haven't watched it, look for that. It's very interesting, though it's, we made it, so. We know that the moon is all-knowing. So these two cards carry that knowledge, that it is an instinctive knowing of what is needed. It's very, very important. It goes on for both of the cards, though obviously the Empress is more feminine, so we would expect it to be more in tune with this. But it goes also for the Emperor, right?
Yes. Yes. And we have to distinguish the different qualities between these two major arcanas. Obviously, coming together is involved here management and achievements. In the Emperor card, as you correctly said, it's something external, and to a certain degree, it's the material management that the Emperor incurs in, while the Empress is the emotional, internal management of what goes inside of her, right? The Emperor is the one that manages the armies, that manages how the food is going to be distributed in the castle and in the kingdom. Well, the Empress is going to manage
the logistic necessity
to a certain degree,
survival.
you know, the personal, the interpersonal dynamics, you know, which is more or less a reflection of what goes on with our lives. We manage our external stuff. You know, I manage this meeting with Sylvia, but internally, you know, I have to manage my preparation for it, and I have to manage, you know, how I feel about it and that sort of thing. At the same time, you know, the Emperor are external achievements. The Emperor is, I won this war, I won this campaign, I won this kingdom, things that are outside of us. While the Moon is internal achievements. You know, I managed to overcome this interpersonal situation that we had in the castle with the employees. We overcame a certain situation with trade union, something like that. And at the same time, we reflect that into our lives. You know, I achieved my bachelor's degrees. I achieved, you know, going to the market and buying stuff. And at the same time, internally, I achieved my emotional needs that maybe I'm fighting with depression, or I'm fighting with some sort of disease, or I'm fighting with some sort of melancholy or sadness in my life. But in essence, you know, in the Emperor card, we come together with that we need, which is outside. And in the Empress card, we come together with that we need, which is inside. And in the end, the number 2 here, which at that same time, as you said, the Emperor is an illusion of the 2 of spades and the 2 of clubs, and the Queen is an illusion of the 2 of hearts and 2 of diamonds. Yep. It's basically what we decide to use to satisfy our need, either externally or internally. Externally being, externally being the male principle of the Emperor, and the internal being the female principle of the Empress.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's more or less what I have to say about this.
Great. I have one little thing to...
Yes, go for it.
To add, which is that the number 2, the archetype, will be the union of the 2. The Empress and the Emperor. Then in the 3D life, we experience them to be as separate. But the archetype of the coming together doesn't make any distinction. It's like a pattern or an algorithm that works in a certain way, which is coming together with something that I need. That's all.
Exactly. Now you have to ask yourself, what is that, what you need?
Well, if you are the Empress, you don't ask yourself, you know it.
Very true. Very true. See, I'm a man. I don't know. I'm smart, but I don't know anything. Yeah. You know that men have a sixth sense.
Because you're beautiful. You're handsome, so you don't need it.
Yeah, that's true. But that's my female part. But you know that men have a sixth sense. You know what that is?
Tell me, please. Let me know.
Men always find out things late.
It's a bit like, you know, when we look at the West and the East about this knowledge, the occult knowledge, philosophy and yoga and the Vedas and whatever. The West is, you know, trying to understand, and he goes like, oh, science said that something that was said in the Vedas thousands of years ago.
Exactly.
I always picture these as being the 2 feminine and masculine of the earth expression, like
to a certain degree, in our era,
It helped me to understand, to figure it out.
Yes.
Okay, then. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure as always. And
thank you, Sylvia. Thank you.
You're always welcome to this space. I'll see you for the next video then.
Sure.
With temperance and strength. Yeah, number 3.
The number 3.
Ciao, Fernando. I'll see you soon.
Ciao, Sylvia. See you soon.